Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kami dari Kelompok 12 akan mempresentasikan Globalization and its Effect on Culture. Yang terhormat kepada M. Burhayani selaku dosen Cross-Cultural Understanding, dan anggota kami yang berkelompokkan 3 orang, yaitu Deckha Geral Putra, Diah, Ananda, dan Dinda Zafira. Langsung saja ke slide pertama, yaitu adalah Definition of Globalization. Globalization has been described as the production and distribution of goods and services of a homogeneous type and quality worldwide, the operation of disparate organizations with sales and production units close to market, according to Ruckman and Collinson, 2006. According to WHO, globalization can be defined as the increased interconnectedness and interdependence of people and countries. It is generally understood to include two interrelated elements: the opening of international borders to increasingly fast flow of goods and services, finance, people, and ideas, and the change in institutions and policies of national and international levels that facilitate or promote such flows. Number 2, what is a global village? The expression global village was originally coined to illustrate that through the advancement of electronic communication, the people of the world can now be as closely linked as the people in a traditional village. Number 2, the components of globalization. Globalization of market. The emergence of global norms in terms of customer expectation has made it possible to sell standardized goods all over the world. For example, the acceptance of Coca-Cola, Levi Jeans, McDonald's hamburgers, and Honda and BMW cars. Other examples include the sheer size and reach of companies like Walmart, the world's largest retailer, ExxonMobil, the large oil company, the merger of major airlines such as British Airways and Iberia to form the International Airline Group, and the acquisition of a Cadbury by the American food giant Kraft. Globalization of production. Companies spread different parts of the production process to different locations around the globe to take advantages of national and cultural difference in the cost and quality of the factor of production. This can have the advantages of stimulating growth in the local economy, particularly in the terms of providing local jobs and increased spending power. Emergence of global institutions. Imports have penetrated industrialized nations and competition has increased in many industries. National economies are no longer self-contained as trade barriers have come down as a result of the increase in cross-border trade and technological advances. Number 3, the driving force behind globalization. The decline in trade barriers and the deregulation of markets. International boundaries has therefore become less relevant as regional groupings have been set up to promote trade, such as the EU and NAFTA. There is also the possibility of the establishment of large free trade zones of 21 Asia-Pacific countries, to include China and Japan by 2020. To increase access to market. Access to new and wider markets offers the opportunity to trade a wider range of products. Firms can locate a facility wherever it is most advantageous, coordinate activities between facilities, and transport their products to customers worldwide. The desire to gain competitive advantage. In the current globalized marketplace, there is intense pressure to find cheaper labor and establish counter over scarce resources, particularly raw materials required for production, including rare earth metals such as lithium, lanthanum, and cerium used in the fiber optics and mobile phones and laptops. Access to different markets offering the opportunity. Economies of scale have been achieved by the rationalization and standardization of product range. Countries have specialists in the in production of goods and services that they are produced most efficiently. Advance in technology. Example, the increased use of automation, robotics, and containerization have improved both production and distribution. Different communication have included electronic financial transaction, computer network, the rapid interchange of information and ideas, and speedier decision making. Greater distribution risks, especially increased international diversity as financial risk can be distributed across different markets with a wider range of products. The spread of English. As the major international language, especially in advertising, the media, on the internet, IT development, including expansion of the internet and commerce and social media set, which have spread awareness of global brands and product development in information processing and communication, have reduced the cost of managing a global production system. Number 4, global corporation. The top 14 global 500 2011 companies. As you can see, this is a mass and diameter from Walmart store USA is diameter of a retail. Royal Dutch Shell UK or Netherlands is diameter petroleum. ExxonMobil USA petroleum. BP UK petroleum. Sinopec Group China Petroleum, China National Petroleum China Petroleum, State Grid China Petroleum, Toyota Motors Japan Automobiles, Japan Post Holding Japan Differs, Chevron USA Petroleum. Is a ranking of the top 8 countries with the most global 500 companies in 2011. This is the graph about top ranking 8 countries. As you can see, the USA 133, in Japan 68, in France 39, Germany 37, the UK 29, Switzerland 15, the Netherlands 13. Number 5, direction to globalization. There are two different ways of analyzing the effect of globalization. One approach is to see the working of the market economy bringing about a world in which the gap between rich and poor increase. The second and more optimistic view is that the market economy will enable countries to converge towards a more equal state of prosperity as a global trade liberalization the world economy. If poverty persists, it will because we have a failure to allow the market its operation freely. Peter Madison recited their view. There is growing evidence that global economic integration bringing reduces inequality within economies, and the balance between those who benefit from globalization and those who bear the burden of the adaptation is not adequately addressed. Peter Madison recited this view. There is growing evidence that global economic integration brings rising inequality within economy if the balance between those who benefit from globalization and those who bear the burden of adaptation is not actively addressed. Number 6. Opposition to globalization. The first one is the main argument against globalization can be summarized as follows. Individual cultures are under threat of becoming more like each other because of the pressure of perceived cultural imperialism. Global companies do not always observe the minimum standard of health and safety for their workforce with unfair wage and no trade union representation. The perceived instead inroads a global soft power as exemplified by the global branding of product aggressive affectation by the media and the influence particularly of the younger generation, and the last advanced economic move their manufacturing to LDCs for the cheaper labor, this causing employment problem on the home country particularly for unskilled workers. The increased danger of protectionism because of the loss of manufacturing jobs and the stagnation of lower and middle class wage level, global companies should spare stage in those countries where they make their profits instead of operating them their home country. They should invest in the country where they are based. Globalization is often used as an excuse for the transfer of moral responsibility and an inertia of face of socio-economic depression. The device of local language causes by the widespread use of English. Number 7, cultural convergence. Globalization has been compared to the process of cultural division, where the elements of an environment permit another and bring about significant change. Companies like Apple, Sony, Nokia, and IKEA have aimed to drive the market and educate the customer to accept their product worldwide and to consider them as must-have products that are available across national and cultural boundaries. This trend is defined as the growing similarity between national cultures, including the belief, the values, application as the prevalent customer which are partly driven by global brands, the media common global icons. Globalization is open to charge of cultural imperialism, which has been defined as a replacement of one cultural tradition for heroes and artifacts with substitute from another. According to Wildlife and High 2006, this have equal the growth of the McDonald's franchise and the theme parks such as Disneyland. Number 8. Cultural divergence. Change in the process of cultural convergence are generally very slow, and there is considerably consistent to and evidence of actual cultural divergence. Culture often forces companies to adjust their business process and practice. For example, in labor relations and the motivation of the labor force, cultural differences still matter and may result in the need to launch local products to meet local requirements and tastes. The term globalization has been coined to express the need to think global, act local as the spirit of globalization is increased by cultural diversity. Number 4. Future trends. Global trade depends on a stable financial climate and security to build business confidence. The drive to exploit the scarce resources worldwide is another aspect of globalization, which increases competition between those countries who are seeking new reserves of oil, gas, precious metals outside their own national boundaries. This drive is at this moment intense in Africa, where China is investing heavily in the search for rare earth metal. However, any intervention by outside force into a sovereign state can be justified only on humanitarian grounds when all other capability effort has been exhausted and can be sanctioned only by agreement on the UN General Assembly and with the full agreement of the Security Council in accordance with Article 21 of the UN Center. UN Charter, I mean. The globalization has a positive influence. The first one is communication. It is easier and doesn't have any boundaries. Number 2, information and availability are free. Number 3, new global profession. Number 4, raising awareness is much easier. And the last is global news network. But the globalization has negative influences. The first one, excessive use of social media. We can also say waste of time. Number 2, physically less active. Number 3, increase in the monthly expenses. Number 4, losing more money when they get hijacked because smartphone cost more than cellular phones. And in the last, misquoted by wrong information from the internet. Example of case: Andy and live and grew up in Indonesia, but since he was a child, he has had more exposure to foreign cultures from the internet and other social media than the original culture of Indonesia. His parents have never taught the culture that exists in Indonesia, which caused him to be stylish and have a tendency to behave like outside society by hanging out and associating more freely, as well as the habit of being more individualistic and prioritizing personal welfare. In the past, these things were considered taboo and prohibited, especially in the traditionalist societies. And then Castile Settlement. To overcome this problem, the role of parents is very important to teach Indonesian culture so that children know how to the customary rules of their area are and what are prohibited and allowed in their customary rules. Apart from the role of parents, the role of their children and also fellow Raj is responding to culture outside, do not immediately accept it without filtering and also forgetting the original culture of the area. Conclusion: cultural differences will remain important and will need to be taken into account in the production of new products. As a globalization will be the trend for the future in order to gain competitive advantage and meet the individual requirement of a growing body of more affluent local consumers. International business and diplomacy have both displayed increased interactivity with more emphasis on wider networking and consultation across national boundaries, developing a coalition of willing to cooperate to find mutual solutions to global trade problems. Nevertheless, globalization will be seen to fail if it provides legitimation or an excuse for the inability of individual states to cope with their own social, economic, ethnic, and environmental problems through poor governance. Globalization will also be seen to fail if the G4, G8, the G20, the World Bank, the IMF, the OECD, and the UN do not work together. As if the global target originally set for 2015 to halve global poverty, reduce informality, and ensure that every child has the right education. Saya rasa cukup sampai sini presentasi saya dan kelompok saya. Lebih dan kurangnya mohon maaf. Terima kasih untuk perhatiannya. Saya ucapkan wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.